Yo, what up, y'all? It's Tyler, aka Neutral Creep. That's gonna change soon. With my boy Mattyboots. We're just checking out the NFC East today. We're gonna be just breaking down the depth charts and seeing what kind of value we can find here in terms of fantasy relevance. So let's start off with the Dallas Cowboys. What's up, Matt? You can hear us, you can see us, right? What's good?
That's good. Wait, got a question before we start this. Why are we not finishing out the AFC?
I figured it'd be nice to go back and forth. You know what I mean? Like we did the AFC East and North last episode. So I figured it'd be nice
Oh,
to do
but
the
we
NFC East and
have
NFC North this
such
time,
big news in the AFC West.
dude. I know. We can get into that actually. Let's get into that. Why don't you go ahead and let us know what's going on?
Josh Jacobs. This is huge news on the Raiders, who already have such a broken team. You bring Devontae over to make Derek Carr happy and work with him and make it happen.
Well, Derek's
That
gone.
goes. Yeah, I know that goes out the fucking window.
Right,
now
right.
you have Jimmy Garoppolo, and he did okay on the Niners, I would say, but he's never really been a guy. And now your running back, who had the year of his career last year, is angry.
I
He
mean,
left Vegas indefinitely with no timetable for a return.
listen, like I kind of get it. Like the running back situation is pretty rough right now. I don't know if Josh Jacobs is handling it the best way with doing what he's doing right now, but like, we don't know those details. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors, what the team is saying, what ownership is saying, if they're even, offering, like 10 mil, 12 mil, which I think is at least the minimum for a guy like Josh Jacobs right now. Like it sucks that Saquon kind of set this standard for workhorse running backs to not really get paid that much. After guys like Zeke got his back in the day, Alvin Kamara got his. So it's like it's a weird time for running backs. But I hope the best for Josh. Like I want him to get paid. But man, this is scary. Like I'm definitely not picking him up in any drafts. I can tell you that much.
No, you can't. And but that leaves. I mean, we'll get into it when we talk, but that leaves the Raiders just with absolute, like, Devontae's value goes down. Jacoby Myers, if there was any value, his value goes down.
Right.
Hunter Renfro's is down. Like, there's no one on this team now that's worth anything. It feels like.
I get you, and let's save that conversation though for when we go break down their depth chart.
We'll save it when we break it down. We'll start with the Cowboys, NFC.
Yeah. No, but I totally agree that team is just going to be another dumpster fire this year. So sucks.
I saw a video from Cowboys training camp of Trayvon Diggs intercepting Dak Prescott twice within like 10 minutes.
So let's talk about that.
I know they're playing like slow ball and they're not playing fast and hard, but like Dak P's not the guy.
Listen, I don't know if it's more of an indictment on Dak as it is like, praise and some exceptional play from Trayvon. You know what I mean? Because like Mr. Diggs is a beast. Like he's such a baller. So
and you want that. You like when I watched the Hard Knocks last night where Rodgers is playing against Sauce Gardner while he's throwing to Garrett Wilson. And
right.
They want that, but that ain't happening to the elite quarterbacks.
Listen,
they find a way around the best cornerbacks. They find a way to not get intercepted by, the best.
Yeah, I agree. Dak is definitely not an elite quarterback. Maybe he was, touching that tier a couple years back when he was obviously playing a lot better before the ankle injury, before then his thumb. But I can't see him taking another step back this year and then us being like, is Dak okay? Is he an NFL quarterback? Because last year was such a step back for him that there's no way he could take another step back. Like he has to get better, and so that makes
the Hard Knocks curse last year.
you and this Hard Knocks curse, man. Like I don't necessarily believe in that. I think there is something to the
I'm
hype
telling
generated
you,
around it,
the
and
Hard
maybe
Knocks,
our
it's
expectations because of
real.
that. We put them on pedestals potentially. Sure, it
But
could be.
it's the way they cut it together. It's the way HBO cuts together the training camp montages and stuff, and they look so good. And Aaron Rodgers throwing these like sidearm no look passes to Garrett Wilson, it just makes you think they're gonna do something huge. And Zeke last year busting off runs, but it's all just a fluke. It's a curse, I'm telling you.
Well, listen, we know Tony Pollard was actually a phenomenal player last year. I actually had him in
I'm excited. I'm
most of my
excited to
leagues.
see him get his start right now.
Listen, okay. Let's talk about
But
okay.
he's
And
around.
before we
He's
move on
around. I would say round 3 or 4 for him.
for Tony P. All right. Well,
I
let's
don't
talk about him
think.
in a sec. I think I think we just quickly to wrap up the Dak thing.
Oh, you want to wrap up? I'm wrapping up Dak. Yeah, go for it.
Listen, 23 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. That number is going to be drastically different this year. I would hope it would be. He's got his boy Michael Gallup coming back. He's obviously got CD, who's
They
amazing.
added Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks is.
I would say let's wrap up Dak after we talk about the wide receivers because I think the addition of Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
Really plays a big role, and not having Zeke right now, I think, really plays a big role into a lot of this.
All right, so you got Tony Pollard. Like you said, you're excited to see him get his start. Honestly, I am too.
Yeah, so backing that up just really quick, I think a big thing with Dak was the Zeke hype. There was a lot of hype on Zeke because they came in at the same time, basically. I think Dak was 1 year before Zeke.
I want to say they were either in the same draft.
It was the same year or 1 year.
Yeah, there might have been 1 year difference. We can actually check quickly. Dak was 2016, and Zeke was 2016. So yeah, they were both 2016.
All right, so they
same
were both,
year.
Okay, so they both came in. Zeke had so much hype that first year that, like, yes, it was Dak Prescott was the face of the quarterback organization and everything like that, but Zeke was the guy. And I think I would argue for the rest of that time after that first year, they looked at Zeke as the guy, and he was just never the same again as that first year.
Well, so like you said, Zeke came in hot. I mean, he was a first round pick. I think he was like a top 3, top 5 pick. I can't even remember. Let's actually look.
But then he was also like a top 5 running back in fantasy in his rookie year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was the 4th overall pick in the draft, which is insane for a running back. And he backed it up though. He played like a boss. I think he broke almost 2K yards his first season or something like that. Like,
yeah,
he played insanely well, and
he was a stud.
He overshadowed Dak for sure. I mean, Dak wasn't even the start at the beginning of that season. If we remember, I think it was Tony Romo still, and then he got hurt.
It was still Tony.
And then Dak came in. That might have even happened in preseason, if I'm remembering correctly. So Dak might have been even just the starter, by default.
I think, but like that's the thing is that Dak has always been kind of the Robin to the Zeke's Batman. It felt like Zeke was always the hype train on that team.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. Definitely Zeke was the engine of that team. Dak was more of a complimentary piece who just kind of he's a game manager, which is like a kind of a disrespectful thing to say about a quarterback these days, but like Dak kind of did that well, and he didn't ask him to do too much. He had guys like Amari Cooper, who was like just a boss to have on any team.
But that was the thing, is that like he had Amari Cooper on the team. He when Zeke was doing well, he didn't have to. The game wasn't on his shoulders. The past few years, the game has been on Dak's shoulders. The season for the Cowboys has been on Dak's shoulders, and he just hasn't. One, the running game hasn't been there to give him the open ability to throw it, so we'll give him that, piece. But he hasn't risen to the occasion, which is why I wanted to put a pin on wrapping him up, because I think this year with his wide receiving core, if he doesn't rise to the occasion this year, I think the Dak train is over. I think you just look at Dak as He did his thing. He was hot. No more. We can't franchise this guy.
It's just he wasn't what we thought he was, unfortunately, or maybe he was, and just injuries kind of got to him. And yeah, this is the this is the year. This is the test, the definite test. Like, is he for real?
I think it's a big
Is he a guy? Like,
it's a big year for Tony Pollard coming out. He was the change of pace back to Zeke. You know, he was able to come in and be that breath of fresh air, and for the running back core.
Well, let's take a look at his stats. Not. Yeah, you're right. He has to be the workhorse. So
he's the workhorse. Deuce Vaughn, if he can get up there, is going to be the change of pace guy, the small little kind of Darren Sproles change of pace quick guy. But TP's finally got his chance to put it all out there, and I think this is I think it's kind of a whole change up for the Cowboys offense right now, and I think this is going to be an interesting year. It either makes or breaks Dak.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you literally changed it up to where you have 2 number 1 wide receivers right now on your core who are going to be, that's like having...
You're talking about Brandon? You're talking about adding Brandon? You see Brandon as a number 1 still. I could kind of see that. I mean...
He's a number... I mean, he just wasn't...
Look at Brandon
Cooks. He was in Houston. He was in Houston.
He's not even 30.
He's situation.
29 years old. Yeah, you're right. He was in Houston.
It's a shitty situation. This is like a Roddy White.
Career lows for him, probably every category.
Yeah, but this is like a Roddy White, Julio Jones situation, a Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams. Like, when you have 2 guys that are just able to catch the ball, spread the field, it opens up your offense.
Mm-hmm. It does. He did miss some time last year. He missed a week. I'm sure a month. Sorry. I'm sure. I think it was probably lower body related. It probably wasn't concussion protocol related.
They weren't throwing him any favors. He was going across the field, taking hits left and right. Like,
that's the thing with Brandon Cooks.
Who was the quarterback last year for the Houston Texans?
For the Texans, I couldn't tell you. I honestly can't even remember. I know it's C.J. Stroud right now. But that's how irrelevant that team was, and that's how honestly forgettable whoever and no
Let's
hate
just say it was Matt Schaub. Let's just say it was Matt Schaub for argument's sake.
Yeah. Like, the 2013 Texas.
Just I mean, so I don't know. I think CD we know is gonna ball. He's a dog. He's gonna do his thing.
All right, well, let's make sure we go one at a time here. So, Tony Pollard, before we wrap it up on him, I think just his efficiency is out of control. Obviously, that was with Zeke as his primary, sort of back leader in that backfield. Now he has to carry the load. Personally, I think he has the opportunity and he's going to take it. I hope they don't give him much more than what his workload was still, because I don't know if he's capable of increasing it by that much and still have that efficiency there. The 9 touchdowns, great. He'll probably see around that number this year. The Dallas Cowboys are going to be a good team. They have an excellent defense that'll turn the ball over and get you short fields. That's money, right there for Tony Pollard. So honestly, I'm high on him. I know a lot of people are high on him, but if he's somebody who they limit his workload, don't overdo it with him. Like, honestly, he's best when he's fresh. That was the whole gag with Tony Pollard last year. So keep him fresh. Like you said, work Deuce Vaughn in there. I like what I see from this young rookie. Like, he's smaller guy as well, but he seems to have some power to him. He's definitely got speed. So that tandem will be pretty potent, like if he can rip something like this off, like 50-yard gainers, maybe even take stuff to the house, that's just lightening this guy's load and helping him be even more dynamic and explosive, because defenses won't be able to key in just on him. And obviously the passing game is, part of that. So I'm stoked about Tony Pollard. I don't know. What do you think about him? Just, last thoughts.
No, I am stoked on him. There's nobody that's really threatening to take his spot.
Absolutely.
Like, there's nobody who is Yeah. Malik Johnson, who's on Malik Davis, who's number 2 on the depth chart behind him.
Yeah, Ronald Jones suspended. Obviously, Deuce Vaughn is the rookie. I mean,
remember Ronald Jones again? He got drafted in 2018. Last year, 17 carries, 70 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean,
Ronald Jones was irrelevant. I mean, he won't even we'll see. He might make the practice squad.
He's on.
You know.
Yeah, I think he's on there right now. That maybe make the practice squad.
Yeah.
That's probably. I mean,
you might see some other people show up in the depth chart as training camp continues.
That's the thing, is that the depth chart needs, like, right now Tony Pollard is solidified there. I don't think he's a round 2 or 3 pickup. I think he's like a 4 or 5. I think there's so much more value around, and he was the reason he was so valuable last year was because he was a later round pickup that balled out of control. To give him,
people got him in like the 6th round last year, and he turned into an RB2, RB1 almost. Like, I think he finished as like a top. I mean, right now he's being drafted as the RB9. So, he's clearly being projected to be a top guy.
I know they really have high hopes, and I think, again,
that's like second round material right there.
But he's the work. That's the risk, though, is that he's the workhorse of this team, who we saw what the workhorse of the team did last year.
Right.
Got like 2 yards per carry. Just the offensive coordinator just runs it up the pipe. They stuff him every time, and he ends up having to throw the ball 3rd and long every single time, and it just doesn't work out. So I think
we don't want to see that. Well, first of all, this is my one bad take for I wouldn't say a bad take. I would say it's a negative outlook on the Dallas Cowboys right now. And it's nothing against that squad per se, the personnel that they have on their team. Like, I love the guys that they have. Dak, Tony, CD, all, even Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup obviously is coming back. Even Jake Ferguson, like, their offensive line is great. They paid the guys they needed to pay for the most part. But if you're telling me Mike McCarthy is taking over play calling responsibilities, which that's happening. I don't know if you knew that. That's literally that's happening in Dallas this year. You know what I mean? I don't know if we want to flash back to Green Bay, before the Matt LaFleur takeover, when the whole meltdown between Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, because Mike McCarthy was calling the worst fucking plays ever, and Aaron was just disregarding them, and in the huddle, and just changing it up on on the line of scrimmage. Like, that's a thing that happened. We have to remember that. So if Mike McCarthy, that guy, is stepping into play calling responsibilities in Dallas, I'm a little worried. And I don't think Dak is Aaron Rodgers by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't know if that ends up, making it possible for Dak to just improvise out of a bad play call. Or even if he would, if he felt like he would even have the authority to go against his coach like that, like Aaron Rodgers did. So I'm hopeful, but I'm not optimistic, if that makes sense.
I know that's why this team, it's, there's some teams at the beginning of the year you just feel solid about. Like, you just know that they're going to have a good year, that the team's coming together, that, it's 2-3 years in, they're vibing. But, he's calling the plays on them, and it's basically a brand new squad, like you can call it. Like,
it is.
Without Zeke, Tony Pollard's always had big bro Zeke to watch out for him. Now he doesn't.
I mean, I think, like I said, I think Tony P's up for the challenge. He'll step in and he'll do his thing, but, like, the workload management needs to be a thing. So, like, what about CD? Like, we've kind of been ignoring the big name on the Cowboys here, who's like, he's clearly the highest drafted player on the team. CD Lamb is going 11th overall in a lot of these drafts. So, like, he did damage last year. Let's be honest. 107 receptions, phenomenal. Almost 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns. I mean, that's clearly top 5 wide receiver material. I wouldn't be surprised if he was literally top 4, top 3 potentially last year with these numbers. So, like let's not kid ourselves.
CeeDee Lamb was a dog.
I'm not sure if he can do that again. But last year, Dak was so bad, and CD still had this production. It's like he's immune to Dak's poor play, which, I mean, there's no more like evidence I need to see. The one thing though is the Mike McCarthy play calling, because last year they had Kellen Moore, who's like he's actually a great offensive mind. He definitely makes like high octane offenses perform well at a high rate. So if you're losing a guy like that from your offense and you don't have that essentially that knowledge or that plethora of offensive IQ, your offense is not going to be how many times can I say offense? It's literally it's such a blow to your offense to have a guy like that go away. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many factors when it comes to CeeDee Lamb. You're drafting him at maybe close to his ceiling, right?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
the wide receiver 6. He could finish as a top 5 wide receiver. That's his ceiling then, So he needs to perform at that rate for him to be worth it. So I don't know. Maybe that's actually I'm now talking myself out of reaching for CeeDee Lamb, because frankly, like, not a bad pick by any means. But if I'm staring down CeeDee Lamb, right? I'm pick 11, and it's either him, Devontae Adams, Nick Chubb, or AJ Brown. I'm probably picking all 3 of those guys over CeeDee Lamb, just because of the situation in Dallas. Like, unfortunately, all of those teams, in my opinion, well, except for the Raiders, are better. So the Browns, I could argue, are going to be a better team than the Cowboys this year, offensively at least. Cowboys. So for fantasy purposes, I mean, we all know this. You know this as well. It's good to have a strong offense and a bad defense. A lot of times. I mean, obviously there are instances where that's not true, but like, if you have to score a bunch of points to beat your opponent, that's probably going to translate to fantasy production, right? So Browns, their defense isn't great. It's like middle of the pack, but their offense is pretty darn good. Cowboys, their offense is definitely a lot worse than their defense. I mean, like you said, in training camp, Dak is getting picked off like back to back. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's either an indictment on Dak, or that's evidence of excellence from their defense. So I think it's a little bit of both. But that's, again, a reason to maybe worry about CD if they're constantly off the field and their defense is on the field, or it's a more run first, run heavy type of offense, because that's what Mike McCarthy wants to play call. That's not going to translate to these numbers that we saw from CD, which is why he's being drafted where he's being drafted. So, any other thoughts on CD?
No, I agree with that. It's a risky play with him. He's and now he's sharing the wealth again with Brandon Cook. So does he get that same volume? Because before, I mean, what was it? Noah Brown was the number 2 for Dak.
Yeah, it was like Noah Brown, Cedric Wilson, like nobody's basically,
So CD's going to get the volume there. Now you actually have someone worth his salt in receiving.
You got Brandon Cooks. So yeah, you got
picking him up, picking back. CD up early was last year was a good play. This year, it feels a little risky, but I think again,
good points. Actually, really good points.
It's all about how this season goes for the Cowboys. Every year, it's always the Cowboys' year. It's always going to be their year. They're going to do something.
People are super low on the Cowboys this year, and it makes sense because, like you said, there has been so much hype in the recent years, and they've been underperforming and just like constantly coming up short. Like,
well, they've also dubbed themselves America's team, and they suck every year. So,
hey, my dad's a Cowboys fan, so be careful. Be careful what you say. True.
Be humble before you start.
Yeah. No, fair enough. So yeah, I mean, like, Michael Gallup, we'll talk about him real quick. last year he got hurt.
Solid, yes. Last year he got hurt, but he was supposed to be the number 2, turned to Noah Brown. When he came back, he wasn't what they were hoping for because he was coming back from injury. I mean, he's solid if he can stay not injured.
Yeah, I mean, let's
again,
see.
he's a pickup late round. He's not someone that you need to just be zoning in on. I don't think he's someone that you look at and you say that's the guy. You know, like
I mean, he's
around 14th, 13th, 12th. You know, you're looking for someone who's around. Pick him up.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be at the end of drafts. You know, like he's not even, you know, his ADP is down in the 170s. So, you know, it's like
because there's so many rookie sleepers that you're gonna pick up. I know, but that are. I think you get them. It's the whole FanDuel DraftKings thing. You buy it low and they give you a great couple games, and you're just like, yeah, that's a keeper for next year.
Well, so I'll make an argument for Michael Gallup right now, for just snagging him up like on, you know, in the 14th, 15th round or something like that, as just a guy to put on the back of your bench. He'll get more involvement than all the other guys that you're probably taking shots on. Like right off the bat, he's going to be involved in this offense, you know. So yeah, you might not expect a lot from him, but he actually is going to produce right off the bat. You know, some of these other guys that you're going to be taking shots on aren't going to be this, you know, involved right off the bat, like these rookies. You know, I'm not going to say a bunch of rookies right now because like that's another time, you know, for another show, but Michael Gallup is going to be there and he's going to be able to actually produce for you right away. So if you're a person who drafted a running back heavy and you're in a 3 wide receiver league, or you need, you know, the flex play, and you know, you're looking in like the 14th, 15th round, you're like, damn it, like you know, who can I rely on right off the bat from this crowd of people? Because maybe I reach for this sleeper. You know, I have Anthony Richardson on my team, or, you know, random other dudes that are just like, you know, big upside shots that you're going to take, but you can't rely on them right in the, you know, in the short term. So Michael Gallup's the guy you can rely on in the short term for just the floor play. You know, like the Tyler Boyd we brought up yesterday. He'll get you like 4 or 5 catches on like 50 yards. He might haul in a touchdown. That's completely acceptable. I am more than happy with that result, you know. So don't be too mad about Michael Gallup, you know, if you need to just pick him up in the end of drafts or rely on him in a pinch. And he actually might have long-term upside. If that team is producing at a high volume and it's actually an offensive juggernaut like it should be, you know, on paper, that team just should light up defenses across the league. If they do that, man, Michael Gallup's a solid piece on that offense that you got for free, you know, like, so don't hate on him, you know, completely. Don't reach for him by any means.
No hating, but just don't reach. Don't reach.
Right, exactly. So but a lot has to go right for that to happen. Anyways, the defense on this team is incredible. Definitely worth a snag.
Very good. But like last year, they had to do so much goddamn work because the offense sucked. That you know, is it worth it to have a defense that's on the field, you know, 60% of 70% of the game? Because they may be good, but you're not going to be perfect all the time. You're going to get tired. So just keep that in mind.
I totally agree. It just, that's what it comes down to then, is how that offense plays. So there's a lot of question marks in Dallas. We're going to learn a lot during preseason. We're going to see how deep that team is, and if their offense looks fresh and you know, well oiled, you know, in the, you know, in the first few series of these games, then that means good things for this team. But man, they got a lot to overcome. I'll tell you that much.
And the only reason I am specifying about the defense is because of the offense. They do have a really good defense. They were like the Bears in like 2012, 2013 that had a really, really good defense.
Right.
But they had Jay Cutler at the helm, who was dog shit.
Oh, smoking Jay Cutler. Oh man.
The defense could only do so much. They could only stop the other quarterback, 30 times out of 60. So it's just one of those things that you have to be.
Whoa, there's a bodybuilder named Jay Cutler. Okay, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, there is. He's a beastly looking.
But
fella.
this is the Jay Cutler we love and remember. Smoking Jay. Oh man,
Smoking Jay.
Look at that expression. That just inspires groups of men, doesn't it?
Just the saddest quarterback.
Makes you want to play hard and get those dubs. So
the saddest quarterback. But yeah, so that's the only reason I'm specifying about the about it, because
good
you can have a great defense, but Jesus Christ, if you have a bad offense.
So Dak Prescott, please don't turn into Jay Cutler. We don't think he'll be Jay Cutler by any means.
I don't think so, but
man, but there's a non-zero chance of that happening. Let's just be real. All right, okay. Moving on to the New York Giants. Let's check out their depth chart, shall we? New York Giants. I could tell you this much.
I think I'm staying away from them like the plague.
Right. So okay, good call out. I would consider taking Saquon Barkley, because I think just like
only person on that team.
Okay, like this team will be bad. This team will not be good.
Who else would you?
Excuse me.
Isaiah Hodgins is their number one. Dear God. Darius Slayton,
who never stays on the field.
Just nothing.
Sterling Shepard is constantly hurt. Sterling Shepard is putting him as the starter.
He's the backup to their number 3 on this.
They have Wan'Dale Robinson, who is hurt, but is a great rookie. Yeah. Like he was a great rookie last year. He actually flashed.
They have Cole Beasley. They have Jamison Crowder. They have all these old guys who are so flashy.
Man, it's a hodgepodge of people there at the wide receiver position, but. Despite that, I believe in the talent of Saquon Barkley. Like I said, I don't know how the fuck this team made the playoffs last year. Like they somehow were able to get it. Like that division was somehow much better than they're in. No, but the division was good. The division was like the best division on paper in the league last year, basically. Maybe the only other division that was better was probably the NFC or the AFC North, right? With the Bengals and the Ravens and the Browns. I don't know, maybe not. But okay, so Saquon Barkley, having him on your team, it feels like his workload is just going to be insane. I mean, 295 carries last year.
That's the problem. He
had 57 receptions.
Guy.
He's the whole team.
He's the workhorse. So if he can stay healthy, he's the guy. He's going to be a workhorse for them. He's going to get all the touches, all the carries. Matt Breida's his backup. There's no contest for him at all at running back. Yeah, he needs to stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, he's the guy. I again, there's no qualms with picking up Saquon in the first round. Right. He is a great running back. He's gonna put up points, but just as long as he stays healthy. Here's an interesting one though: Darren Waller on their team. I think, I don't think. I mean, we can talk about their wideouts if you want to, but I don't think any of their wideouts are. No. Their wideouts are if you see one in the 8th round, and you're like, oh, look at that, Isaiah Hodgins, 8th, 9th round, he's still available. Pick him up. A number 1 in the 8th or 9th, sure.
I don't know, man. Let's see where he's going. Like, do people even trust him? In drafts like that. Let's see. Isaiah Hodgins. I have to actually just straight fucking manually search for him, dude. Oh shit. Okay, so he's all the way down here. He's a wide receiver 78, going down, pick 245, dude. He's ranked 245. It's maybe on Sleeper he's a little higher because people on Sleeper actually have like those are more accurate ranks. I would much rather prefer to go by Sleeper rankings. But like, my goodness, man, like you're getting him for free. Like you're not even having to draft him. He's on the waiver wire. You know what I mean? Like that's Isaiah Hodgins, a wide receiver 1 on the depth chart. So
that's what you're looking at with the wide receiver from the Giants. So I don't think there's much to talk about on that.
No, not at all. Not at all. That makes me a little bit more worried about the Saquon Barkley pickup. That's so much pressure. That's more pressure than last year. And they
do have Darren Waller. They added Darren Waller.
Saw his usage. Okay, this
who
is
didn't
interesting.
get used in Las Vegas, and now we do
So,
know the Giants do love themselves a good tight end. They do love a tight end.
well, so Darren Waller missed like half last year. You know what I mean? Like
He did,
I forget what
but
what it was, but you know
he was injured, but he's fresh. He's had time. I
he
think I think he's it depends on on how he looks in preseason, but Darren Waller is a top 5 tight end when he's healthy.
all right. I mean, look, he's 30 years old. Like this is the year that you really do want to see him come back into true form for himself because this is probably one of his final years of being able to play on that level. So you know, it's on a team where they want to use the tight end. We've seen the Giants play tight end heavy offenses before. Even last year, their no name scrub tight ends were getting work. So you know, I don't want to call Kyle Rudolph a no name scrub, but like you know, there wasn't a lot after that, right? Like so uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, behind him. So obviously, Darren Waller is a great, talented player. I'm a fan. If he's able to you know sneak by your drafts, like let's check out his ADP right now. Like Waller's been okay. He's going tight end 5, so people are kind of high on Darren Waller, higher than
That's
I
what I'm
am.
saying.
Higher than I am.
He's a top 5 tight end
I'm
when
not
he's healthy.
I'm not picking up. I'm not picking up. Oh shit! I thought the tags went through, my guy. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, top 5 tight end when healthy. That's what's so crazy about this guy.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, listen, he's being drafted at his ceiling then, right? So that's kind of tough for me. That's a tough sell when it comes to wanting to pick this guy up. But like I said, if he sneaks by those, you know, those super high ADPs, if your league that you're drafting in for some reason isn't that high on Darren Waller, and he slides to like the 6th, 7th round, by all means, go ahead, snatch that guy up. Very, very solid player. Like you said, if he's healthy, he's top 5. So we've seen him. We know what he can do with volume. He's that guy who can get you 10 catches a game and rip one off for a touchdown, for like 50 yards as well. So
Yep.
um, he's hard to ignore that kind of talent. Clearly, people aren't. So don't nobody's sleeping on him. But last year was a big down year for him. Obviously, he was hurt half the year, so we'll see what happens as he comes back. Not a lot else to say about this team, dude. Like,
I think that the Giants are going to have another sad year in MetLife, and
we can talk about Daniel Jones real quick. He just got paid $41 million a year. Like, that's
the most overpaid quarterback in the league.
It's unbelievable to me that you pay Daniel Jones, who had a decent year, but he's not throwing for 4,000 yards or anything like that.
No,
Okay, cool.
It's like Eli Manning. It's like they paid him like he was Eli Manning winning Super Bowls for them.
I mean, okay, so yeah, I like the Eli Manning comparison, but Eli was still throwing for like 4,000 yards. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he might have thrown more interceptions.
But no, Eli was winning those Super Bowls, so he was worth the money. Dan Jones,
Right. Yeah, you're right about that.
Every year looked like utter and complete dog shit.
I kind of agree with you on that. I mean, he didn't look that much like dog shit when he was playing last year late down the stretch. I actually will give it to him. He played well in terms of NFL wise, didn't turn the ball over that much. He was running, in key situations, picking up those hard first downs, picking up touchdowns with his legs, so he was playing well, even into the postseason. So that I can understand maybe like 30, 33 mil a year, but you gotta like cut it off at a certain point. He's not worth that. I think he even knows it. Like his agent must be like the smoothest talking guy ever or woman, whoever it is, because to secure Daniel Jones $41 million a year,
all that money they can't buy a wide receiver.
They can't. They're forced with they're forced to be stuck with Hodgins and Sterling Shepard and the like. But yeah, man. So he's not fantasy relevant. I wouldn't pick him up at all. I mean, I frankly think like his ADP You know, like let's, Daniel Carson might be getting drafted over him. Daniel Jones, QB 14. In a lot of drafts, he's not even getting drafted. You know, at that point. Like so, if you're desperate and you need like a floor guy, Daniel Jones, maybe he'll throw you 200 yards, a touchdown, and like he'll rush for 30 yards, and he'll get you like 12 points. You know what I mean? Like if you need that, go for it. But that's about all you can ask for a guy like Daniel Jones. He might have some upside with some rushing touchdown ability, but let's leave it at that. That team is Saquon Barkley, Darren Waller, and that's it. That's all you need to know from the New York Giants.
If you can draft one of those two, good. If not, stay away.
Like, there's not even like a young, hot rookie prospect that I'm looking at here, like a sleeper guy. I don't even want to have anything to do with these guys. Sorry for Giants fans out there, but
unfortunate year again.
Yep. This team is easily becoming like one of my favorite teams in the NFL somehow.
The Eagles.
Even though my dad's a Cowboys fan, there's something about the Eagles right now that is just like, man, they're just, despite that fan base being as fucked and shitty as it is, these guys are awesome. No, no hate on Eagles fans, but for real, the Jalen Hurts is just incredible. Like, I mean,
he's gonna be a baller this year again.
What more can you say? I'm a very big proponent on that. He's gonna throw more than he did last year. He threw for 3,700 yards last year. I think he's gonna hit 4K yards this year. I think he'll throw for more than 4,000 yards. That's just me. He's got awesome wide receivers. The 22 touchdown to 6 interception ratio is insane. Like, that's something that it has to be talked about.
Top tier quarterback.
Yeah, 22 touchdowns, not a huge amount by any means, but the efficiency is there. You like that. You love to see that. And obviously, like, that's just his passing totals. Like, his rushing totals are awesome too. Like, we're talking about games where he's going 90 rushing yards a game, 57 rushing yards, 20, 38, 61 rushing yards. And a lot of these times he's getting touchdowns on top of that. 1 rushing touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns, another 1, 2, and on and so on and so forth. So there's a game where he had 157 rushing yards. Who does that? Like, Lamar Jackson does that maybe? I don't think I've ever seen Josh Allen do that. I don't think I've ever seen, maybe you saw RG3 do that. Yeah, Russ probably never did that. That's for damn sure. Like RG3 maybe got close when he was back, back in his prime. Maybe Mike Vick did it, but again, like, that's rare company to see. Cam Newton probably did that at one point in his career, but that's crazy to do, man. And he did that on 17 carries. The guy is a monster. Feels bad for the Green Bay Packers because I feel like all that action happened like in the first couple quarters. You know what I mean? And he didn't even really get to play that much on, for the rest of that game. So, what more can you say about Jalen Hurts? Like, I'm sorry, I just took all the air there, but like, what do you want? Is there anything you want to add to that? Like,
I think if you can get Jalen Hurts, he does it all. He passes, he runs. I really like his wide receiving core. He has A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, who's
he's a Heisman winner.
Yeah, Heisman winner. He's their burner down the field.
Number one on like half the NFL teams in the league right now. Like, he could easily be a number one receiver.
Yeah, he's They have Quez Watkins. They added DeAndre Swift and got rid of Miles Sanders, who was not very reliable. DeAndre Swift is just like they younged up their team basically to these real hungry guys on offense who are going to do it. I think.
I like it. I like the addition of DeAndre Swift. That's a good segue. Because honestly, like, he'll be utilized in the passing game. We know what he's capable of in the passing game. Like, what he was able to do in Detroit last year. So let's see what his passing totals were, because obviously, like, 99 carries, 542 yards, not like flashy total numbers or anything like that, but
not on that. He was behind Jamal Williams.
Well, Jamal Williams, he was the heart and soul of that team. Let's be real. If you watched Hard Knocks or were anywhere near that team in any form or fashion, you saw how much they love Jamal Williams. So, uh, you
On
know,
48 receptions, he got 389 yards.
yeah,
I,
that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I mean, that's where it comes down to is he's that option for Jalen Hurts on the side. He's the new Darren Sproles for the Eagles.
Totally, totally. I mean, I would say Darren Sproles is a little bit more dynamic than DeAndre Swift. I gotta give it to my boy Sproles. He's a legend.
I do love Darren Sproles.
Yeah, but especially on kick return, oh my gosh, that guy! Just watch him work. But DeAndre Swift is definitely very serviceable. Obviously, he's going to be involved in the passing, in the passing game. So, I for his average draft position, like people are drafting him down at the RB 27. Listen, that's basically like an RB 3, and I think he's going to perform more of high end RB 2 levels. I really do. I think he's going to outperform that draft pick, that draft position. Um, there's a lot of speculation and skepticism on DeAndre Swift. I get it, but if you're fearless and you want to just snag up a guy. I mean, don't let him be your RB1. Don't have him be your guy that you have to rely on. Maybe if you went wide receiver heavy and you want him as your RB2, that's actually not terrible. I wouldn't be mad at that if you wanted to shore up your bench with some other like rookie prospects that are going to pop off later on in the season. DeAndre Swift is going to be part of this offense. Like he's definitely going to be involved. So I'm like looking at this draft position right now, obviously on sleeper he's higher. I agree with that ranking. So I'm not too mad at DeAndre Swift where he is. I would be more than happy to pick him up at his draft position if he's falling there. Somebody might reach for him though. Like I could see getting close towards the season, the hype picking up on this guy, and people realizing like, wait a minute, like why are we so fucking averse to this dude? Like, oh, maybe it's just because we didn't see enough or we didn't know enough yet or we hadn't like settled in. He hasn't settled in with his new team, but like they're they're gonna use him like they want to. He's good enough to be a big part of that offense. So I don't know, like I'm hot on DeAndre Swift, to be honest. I'm realizing that now.
Oh yeah, I'm very hot on DeAndre Swift.
Nice. Okay, good. Well, then we're agreed on that. So, good to know. Good to know. DeAndre Swift, what a good player. Such good position to be in on like the best team in the NFC East right now. They're going to score a lot of points. We know this. They're going to be in the red zone a lot. I believe their defense got worse actually last year over the offseason. They couldn't bring everybody back. Obviously, they have Fletcher Cox, but some key pieces are missing from last year, and also maybe are hurt. So we're definitely looking at a different team that has to rely on their offense a lot more than they did in previous seasons. And the offense is, I think, poised to meet that challenge. And I mean, they did last year. This was like one of the highest scoring offenses in the league. They made it to the Super Bowl. They almost beat the Chiefs. So they can go punch for punch, in these heavyweight matchups. So I'm stoked. I'm stoked. AJ Brown, man, what can you say about this guy? Fucking
He's gonna put up points.
dude, he's gonna ball, man. He's just gonna ball. That's what this guy does. Even on the Tennessee Titans, when he was getting passes from freaking Ryan Tannehill, who's like, not a slouch by any means, but he's not like a top 15 guy, quarterback in the league by any means of the stretch, by any stretch of the imagination. Dude, this guy's gonna ball out of control, man. Especially if Jalen Hurts take a step forward, like I believe he will. This guy is just gonna benefit from that even more. He's going to be put in better positions to score. He had 11 touchdowns last year. I mean, the efficiency is insane. I mean, every 8 catches, he's catching a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people did that. Cooper Kupp maybe did, beat that efficiency, 2.5 years, 3 years ago when he was the top fantasy player in the entire league. Loved that year. I had him in like 3 different leagues and it was incredible. But like, not a lot of people are that efficient. So it's just hard to ignore this guy. The fact that he's going in like, as peak 14, ADP 12, ranked 12 on sleeper. I think he should be ranked higher than that, man. Like I would pick him up over guys like Stephon Diggs easily, CeeDee Lamb easily. I wouldn't pick up Travis Kelce that early. I think Travis Kelce's going to take a step back. Cooper Kupp, I'm worried about the Rams this year. I don't know if Cooper Kupp's gonna be able to perform at the level that he's played in the past. I don't know if Matty Stafford's gonna be able to perform. So there are a lot of people above AJ Brown right now that I'm looking at. And I'm like, why wouldn't I just fucking go get AJ Brown? Like it blows my mind
him going to the Eagles was the best move for his career.
Absolutely.
Like he became the player he was meant to be.
Well, I think he was already the guy he was supposed to be, but like he just was put in a better position to win on a team that actually is, but again, the Titans were in the mix. I mean, they went to like an AFC Championship game one year, or like were in the division playoffs, matchup, year before that. So it was like they were not a bad team by any means. I mean, the Derrick Henry was, experience was in full effect. So, uh, and AJ Brown was a big part of that. But I agree. Like, this was a huge upgrade for him. In terms of the team and the people around him, and maybe even the fan base. I don't know what the fan base is like in Tennessee. I'm sure it's great, but man, the Philly fan base is ravenous, and when that team is winning, like I'm sure there's not a lot of places that are like that. In terms of the vibe and the experience and just the energy there. So. And I'm sure AJ Brown feeds off of that. Like he's just that guy. He's just that alpha dude. You know. So let's talk about his running mate. Let's talk about his side piece or whatever. his homie, Devonta Smith. Dude, my dude. Last year, I mean, look at his numbers too. He actually had more catches. So that's how good. Let's compare these guys. So AJ Brown had 88 catches, had almost 1,500 yards and 11 touchdowns. That's incredible. But my boy Devonta Smith had 95 catches, still had almost 1,200 yards. The 7 touchdowns, not bad either. So like he's clearly productive, and he's clearly involved in that offense. 95 receptions. You had to get targeted a lot. You had to get targeted 136 times to get to 95 receptions. So I mean, what more can you say? Like, what do you think about this guy? Like, he's on the field.
If he wasn't behind AJ Brown, he'd be a number one. He's that good.
Right. He's good. He's awesome. He's consistent. His target numbers are through the roof. Clearly he stays on the field. That team is elite. We know this. So Devonta Smith, like, come on, let's look at his ADP real quick. Okay, so he's right around T. Higgins and Breece Hall. You're not upset taking a guy at that position. You rely on him, and he's gonna produce for you. Like you're picking him up in that position. You're gonna be happy with that. Like I like you said, he's a number one receiver on another team, kind of like T. Higgins. Like oddly enough, the AJ Brown, Devonta Smith duo could be better than the T. Higgins Jamar Chase duo. Like there is a conversation to be had about that. So I don't know, like not mad at that draft position. What do you think?
I think that's about right.
Yeah.
It is surprising to see him at 25 because that's all positions. Because there's so much value below him that is going to pop off. And looking at him at 25, it's just that's how good everyone in the league thinks he is.
Well, look, okay, let's do a little conversation here. Would you pick up a guy like DK Metcalf over Devonta Smith? He's going after him. He's the number one receiver on Seattle, that's a team that's taking a step forward this year, apparently, in a lot of people's eyes, right?
I probably would pick up a DK Metcalf before him. I'd probably pick up like a Joe Mixon before him. We'll talk about him when we get to the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I'm excited for Calvin Ridley, to be honest with you.
A lot of people are.
I have a feeling I'm going to reach for that guy.
I wouldn't blame you. Like a lot of exciting news out of training camp. He's been putting up spectacular, catches and highlights and stuff like that. And who knows? As long as he's back in game shape, I think they're going to want to keep him, a little on a pitch count in the first couple games, just because he's coming back in the league for the first time after not having played for like 2 full seasons or more. You know what I mean? So like he definitely needs to be eased into the mix. But I agree, Calvin Ridley is a guy who we know what he's capable of. He's a young dude. He got in trouble a little bit. He also was, kind of dealing with some mental health issues. Hopefully he's back, and over all that stuff, and he's healthy. And man, that like just remembering how exciting he was and seeing now that kind of like same flashes that he's been, in training camp recently, it's just, how could you not be excited about that guy? So Devontae Smith, his ADP is right where he should go. Don't reach for him. Probably, like we know AJ Brown's definitely the guy there. Despite Devontae Smith having the more targets, but just like this team is going to score points. Everybody, even Dallas Goedert will be relevant. So it's pick your poison. Choose who you want to choose. Don't end up with all these guys on your team though, like me, because I will probably end up with like half these dudes on my team.
Don't stack it with the Eagles, but you have a lot of options to choose from.
Yeah, that bye week's gonna be tough.
With.
Yeah, the bye week's gonna be tough. Oh yeah, man. All right, well, final thoughts. We obviously skimmed over Dallas Goedert and the defense, but anything else to say about these Eagles?
I think that we kind of got it there. I think you don't go wrong picking anyone on the offense. I think Quez Watkins late round is going to be a good pick.
Right.
AJ Devonta go down, Quez Watkins steps right in. And they also picked up my guy Olamide Zaccheaus, so I'm all about that.
Olamide. Yeah, coming over from the Falcons last year. Yeah, what a guy. He actually wasn't bad. 40 catches. He hit over 500 yards. He'll eat too, man. Like he could probably do that again. And that's like a guy that you pick up in a bind, on a week where like you're missing dudes in like week 12 or something because of injury or bye week. And you just need to like plug and play a guy. He'll just go out and get you like 10 points. He'll be on the waiver wire. He'll be there. So cool. Yeah, great team. Excited about the Eagles, man. I might have just become an Eagles fan. Just low key. Just kidding. So Washington Commanders. Oof, man. Just what the fuck can you say about this? I mean, I don't know if you've heard anything about what's going on with the drama with like Ron Rivera and Eric Bieniemy and the players, complaining about how, EB's being a little too, hardcore with his coaching methods. Potentially, it's tough. It's training camp. They're complaining just about him, being a little tough. So, have you heard about this? Like, I
haven't. No.
Oh man. So it's a little bit of a unnecessary drama, but like, it's just not inspiring confidence in me already. This team is already team's already full of question marks. And if, this early into training camp, the new guy coming in, Eric Bieniemy, from, a great team, the Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs, Eric Bieniemy comes into the offensive coordinator, and he's working these guys to the bone, essentially. He's trying to change the culture. He's trying to, toughen these players up. Last year, there was maybe a discipline issue, or it was just like, it wasn't a good team. You know what I mean? So there obviously was need for a culture change. And so that's part of the reason probably why they brought Eric Bieniemy in. But if you're not gonna let him cook, and you're gonna complain when it gets a little hot in the kitchen and you're sweating a little bit and you're like, oof, I mean, granted, I played football in high school. I know hell week is hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, and obviously this is 10 times more extreme than that probably. So I'm not trying to sit here and be like, man, toughen up, players, because it's probably tough. And I probably would be sitting there like, damn, man, Eric's got to cool it. Coach's got to cool it, man. Like he's about to kill one of these one of us or whatever. So it's like,
here's the thing: here's where I think I disagree with that. Is that this franchise has had just
not a lot of success. Not a lot of success.
I mean, like from the top down, their owner is one of the most hated fucking owners in the league.
Oh yeah, I think he was forced to
They
sell. By the way, I
he
don't
was
think
forced to sell.
Zack Snyder is owner anymore.
It's not Zack Snyder.
It's
That's
not.
the guy who did the DC universe.
Yeah. So, sorry,
But
Zack. Oh, Noah
it's
Snyder, is it Noah
Dan
Snyder?
Dan Snyder.
Dan
Dan
Snyder.
Snyder.
Fuck.
But they have just not been an organization that has been run like a proper football team. They changed their name to the Washington Football Team. Someone in a boardroom meeting threw that out, and that was the best fucking name that they all could come up with at the time. It's this team needs someone like an EB to come in there and really whip them into shape. Like,
I agree.
you're wasting a Terry McLaurin on your team. Curtis Samuel is a dual threat player that you can use as both running back, wideout, kick return, triple threat at that point.
Right. You're right.
They need to have the best brought out of them, and pressure brings the best out of them.
Jahan
Antonio
Dobson.
Gibson
should
be fighting. I was going to say Antonio Gibson should be fighting for a number one spot. It should be running back by committee in Washington. Unfortunately, it's Brian Robinson with Antonio Gibson change of pace. But it should be a running back by committee because you have two studs. And one of them has just got comfortable, was on a team that didn't live up to any kind of standard or hype. And, it's like in all those movies where you got they're like the Ted Lasso team, the Wrexham... the Wrexham team that Ryan Reynolds and them took over.
The owner's trying to drive the franchise into the ground, like out of spite, basically. Like literally, that's such a great comparison, actually.
They were, and so all these guys just didn't give a shit, and now all of a sudden you have someone in here who makes you give a shit. It's like, listen, when you've been used to just skating by and getting away with murder. The first time someone calls you on your bullshit, you're going to complain and be like, I'm not able to, of course. But the players that come out the other side are the ones that you see, actually make something of themselves. And maybe they don't have to stay on the fucking Commanders. Maybe they can actually be good and go to a different team. Or maybe they can make the Commanders a good team. I'm all for EB being there and giving them shit. They need that.
I agree. I'm a big fan of Eric Bieniemy. He's not been given nearly as much due and praise as he should be given, and so, the guy's a phenomenal coach. He has an outstanding track record. Maybe there's personality things there. I wouldn't say that either, just because he's probably just like an old head coach who needs to be a little tough on his players, and that's just how it goes sometimes. And that maybe some of these younger players are just a little used to a certain thing, and obviously like Kansas City Chiefs, we didn't hear anybody complaining over there, so.
No,
he was doing something right. They just won a
championship caliber team,
right?
That wants to be better,
right? Yeah,
and that's also the thing is like, at this level of football, you have made it onto a team with 52-man roster, and you've beat out to start camp 90 people in camp or something like that to start,
right? Plus, 100. It starts with 100 plus players.
100 plus.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you've beat out every single player in college that wanted to be in the pros. You have a standard to keep. You're getting paid millions of dollars with endorsements, with whatchamacallit, payroll.
Right.
Some of these guys aren't. I know some of the bottom guys aren't. I get that. But
you still gotta be hungry. You gotta
be hungry. You gotta
fight for that spot.
And if someone being a little hard on you in camp is making you sad, well, the games are 10 times harder, especially when the media is up your ass asking about why you're not doing well, what's going on, why did you drop this pass, why did you fumble. You're not going to want to get those questions. Field the questions now of like, why are you getting the tough love? Because we need it.
Right, right,
I
right.
think that they need to toughen up. The Commanders need a change.
I agree. I mean, and I'm not sure, like, because obviously you didn't even hear the story, and I'm glad because it's a fucking dumb story. But apparently earlier, and I'm sure Ron Rivera maybe he clearly walked it back. Ron Rivera was like kind of putting him on blast. It was like, Ron, like, what are you doing? Just stand behind your boy. And obviously Ron got flack for it, so he walked it back. He said he put his foot in his mouth, and he walks back comments on Eric Bieniemy. So clearly, Ron Rivera, come on, brah, you're better than that. You're a player's coach, supposedly. Maybe he just got a little too comfortable about that, with that player's coach mentality. He's trying to look out for his guys or something. But no, Eric Bieniemy is class personified.
Ron Rivera is a great coach. I really love the guy. Has fought through a lot of bullshit. Went through cancer treatment, everything like that. He's doing everything.
Totally.
But he
love
comes across.
Ron,
But he comes across sometimes as too friendly with the players. Like he needs to right now kind of be the tough love figure. Everyone should be on the chopping block. Right. Rookies should be able to take Terry McLaurin's position if he doesn't feel like he's doing his work. Like, there shouldn't be just a guaranteed spot for this team.
Right, right.
Which I guess when you look at who do you draft on this team, I mean, Brian Robinson Jr. I think is a decent one. Curtis Sammy late. Terry McLaurin, mid to late. But
Brian Robinson,
again, all of these guys need to be hungry. All of these guys, I think, have a chance. Like, again, Antonio Gibson, if he balls out and he comes back, he's a number one running back. He could get traded and be a number one running back easily in, who needs one?
I mean, there's a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams. Yeah, Raiders, Indianapolis
right
needs one. They didn't even just sign Kareem Hunt.
One, yeah.
Yeah. So you're right.
Antonio Gibson, all these players in the Commanders, I think, need this hustle mentality. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a wait and see. Yeah, Gibson and
Saints
Robinson
are in the market
Jr.
for a running back.
Yeah. Look at that, Gibson and Robinson Jr. going around the same ADP.
I mean, they kind of have to. You kind of don't know. I mean, if we look on their official depth chart, like Brian Robinson's listed as the starter, but like, yeah,
he is.
But like you said, Antonio Gibson could end up being the more valuable back there because of maybe just the more valuable touches that he's getting. In the red zone, or maybe he's more involved in the passing game. Totally. So, sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, my boy Quentin Johnson right there. See, I can't wait to talk about the AFC.
Oh,
Gotta get back to the AFC.
Yeah, AFC West. We're gonna definitely hit that at some point. But yeah, man. I mean, Brian Robinson.
I was gonna say. I think with the Commanders, you have to watch this preseason to see what happens, because if they're already complaining in the first week of August, it's gonna be a long camp.
Yeah, I think this was just a hiccup or speed bump. You know what I mean? Like, I truly do believe in the coaching of Eric Bieniemy and Ron Rivera. I think they're gonna figure it out. Obviously, Ron Rivera did the right thing and walked back his comments. It was just a foot and mouth situation. Like I said, maybe he's getting too comfortable with his players. Whatever it is, I think this team, let's look at their schedule, because that's actually a big consideration here. So they got the Cardinals week 1. I mean, they should just dumpster all over the Cardinals. That should be their Super Bowl, really. It's just like, come out swinging and show people you mean boss.
You mean business. Look so bad.
I'm not looking forward to talking about them, but or maybe I am, just as a joke, because it's just funny. But then the next week they got the Broncos, another really easy matchup, or quote unquote should be easy matchup, right? Like, the Broncos are not a great team. I'm worried about them. We can definitely talk about them when we talk about the AFC West. But they're not. I'm not really worried about the Broncos, right? Bills, definitely a much better team. That's going to be their toughest matchup of the season so far. Then it's the Eagles. Obviously, that division is tough. They're going to play the Eagles twice this year. But then it's the Bears, decent team. Falcons, Giants, not worried about. Eagles. So it's hit or miss really with their schedule. It looks like for the first half of the season. Then obviously they got the Jets late down the stretch, and then the 49ers, Cowboys. So I mean, I will say, looking at their schedule, the early half of the season, if you want to you know, get somebody from this team, plug them in. Brian Robinson, Terry McLaurin, somebody like that, you can get them at a discount. A lot of people are low on this team. Plug them into your team, into your lineup, get a lot of value out of them because they have those soft matchups early on, and then just trade them. Just get them off your fucking hands because people probably aren't going to realize that what you just did. You know what I mean? Like they're going to look
buy low, sell high.
Right. They're just going to look at the fact that you just picked up a stud and maybe you made a fair trade, like Terry McLaurin probably for like Devontae Smith or something like that. Like their ADP is not at all remotely close right now. Like where's Terry going? Where the fuck is Terry going? Okay, so yeah, Terry's going around guys like DeAndre Hopkins and DJ Moore, and so if you can snatch a guy like Terry McLaurin, utilize the fact that he's going to be hot probably the first couple weeks of the season, first few weeks, sell, trade him for like a, upgrade in that position like a T Higgins or Devontae Smith. I mean, that's like the best case scenario. You didn't have to waste a pick on a T Higgins or Devontae Smith, but maybe they start off a little slow. I know the Cincinnati Bengals, they might not have, Joe Burrow the first couple weeks. Somebody might be regretting the fact that they have T Higgins on their team, and they're looking at Terry McLaurin like he's looking really hot right now. I don't know. I'm trying to see in the future. Maybe I'm seeing too far into the future. Obviously, this is very hypothetical here, but that's a play that you could probably pull off potentially with a guy like Terry McLaurin. So don't forget about moves like that. Fantasy football is all about winning each week at a time. So whether that's it, you have to make a trade or you have to make a move off a waiver wire. Like the team you draft is not the team you finish with. I can't tell you how many times I've made it to the championships where I look at my squad and I look at the team that I drafted and I'm like, how the fuck did I get here? Like where's my guys? It's just like half the team is different. But sometimes you just got to do that. So I mean, also, I'm the guy, Matt. I'm the guy that makes like 90 transactions a year. So.
Well, I was gonna say, after we go through all the depth chart, the next 2 episodes after this one, when Sean gets on, we should do a sleepers episode and just talk about, 1 or 2 from each team, just to be on the lookout. Of someone that could do something and whatnot. Because I think that's, to your point, that's where fantasy football, you pick someone up off the waiver wire and you just hold them. You hold on until, the Terry McLaurins of the world get hurt. And then you plug them in seamlessly, and all of a sudden you have the OBJs of the world, or, the who else has balled out like that? I guess the Tony Pollards of the world.
Right. Stephon Diggs when he was coming out.
Stephon Diggs.
Odell Beckham was technically a sleeper because he, was hurt for the first half of the season. So I agree. I'm excited. I'm down to do a sleeper season or a sleeper, episode. That sounds like a lot of fun. I'm all about those sleepers. You know me. I got Garrett Wilson. I actually didn't even pick him up in the draft. He was drafted and then dropped in our league in the first 2 weeks last year, and I was able to get him, and now I'm keeping him in the 6th round. Garrett Wilson in the 6th round, man, like it's hard to beat that. I mean, Garrett Wilson's going it, and I'm just gonna do a little stroking of the ego a little bit. No hard feelings, but he's going at like wide receiver 10. He's drafted in the top 20 picks basically of drafts. That's 2nd round, so that's a 4-round value, man. Like I'm stoked about that. That's probably my best value in a long time when it comes to keepers. Because last year was not a good keeper. I can't even remember who it was, but it was not good.
Yeah, nothing like Elijah Mitchell.
Right. Oh man, that sucks. He was supposed to be good, man. He was supposed to be good. Like it's not your fault that he literally didn't perform as he was supposed to. Like getting Elijah Mitchell in the 10th round is actually super solid if he actually plays if he did what he's supposed to do, doesn't get hurt, unfortunately.
If he didn't get hurt in the first game, would have been the best.
Right. Let's continue here. We kind of talked about Terry McLaurin. Let's just talk about. Well, actually, we didn't really see anybody's stats here. I don't want to talk about the quarterback. The quarterback's going to be a shit show. Brian Robinson last year, 205 carries. That was actually more than I was expecting. I didn't think he hit the 200 mark with the carry totals. Wasn't super efficient, but and the touchdown total very very low. But he was clearly involved in this offense. I think that's partially why people are looking at Antonio Gibson as the kind of guy to have on this team, because even though he had less carries, he was a little more efficient, at least with the touchdowns. But it wasn't much better, honestly. Like you really, you weren't stoked about either of these guys. Maybe yeah. At least Brian Robinson had higher yardage and a higher average here, but man, it's just
Brian Robinson did that coming late into the season. Like, go to his recent games really quick.
Yeah, you're right. He came in October, so you're right. Antonio Gibson did have the first half of the season, or rather the first quarter of the season, or first 3 games of the season.
Yeah,
to himself, first 4 games.
First 4 games to himself.
Yeah. So that's says a lot too about how much usage Brian Robinson got when he came back. His carry totals per game obviously got off to a little bit of a slow start, but then it picked up. He was averaging probably 15 carries a game towards the end of the season. Over 20 carries in the last 2 games. So not a lot of touchdowns though. I mean, this team had red zone problems. This team was struggling in the red zone.
Who was their quarterback last year?
Fucking
Jacoby Brisket? No, that was
on the Browns. Man, don't put me on the spot like that. Who was the Washington Commanders quarterback last year?
It was hold on, no, don't say it. I'm gonna get it as I'm watching the stream. I'm gonna get it.
I mean, it's not Sam Howell, that's for damn sure.
No, I know it's not Sam Howell. It was white. It was some white guy though.
Taylor Heineke and Carson Wentz.
Yep.
Carson Wentz. Oh man, wow, what a shit show that was. Couldn't even remember who the fuck was on that team. Wow, that's right. Negligible.
Taylor Heineke. That's right.
Are either of those people in the league anymore? I don't know. Maybe they're both backups somewhere else. But they have Jacoby Brisket now as their backup, and who knows? Maybe he'll win that job.
Brisket.
I think they're gonna try to have. They're probably gonna have an open competition there for quarterback.
Yeah.
We might see him be the starter at the beginning of the year, which I actually wouldn't be mad at. I think that's better for the team. Sam Howell's like a rookie or second-year quarterback.
Yeah, this is just another problem of
fifth-round pick. Dude.
This is like the Giants. The same problem the Giants are gonna have.
Dude.
Yeah. No offense. Defense is going to be constantly on the field.
Minimal quarterback play, yeah.
It's going to be tough if they can figure it out. Again, that going back to what we started with, and I think it comes full circle with that. If EB can right this ship and actually get them to buckle down and get into football shape, they're having a change of the top brass. Dan Snyder had to sell the team. So he's not in charge. That toxic energy is gone.
Right.
Fucking get into shape, buckle down, and maybe you see Brian Robinson with 10 touchdowns this year. You see Antonio Gibson get 700 yards instead of 500. It's just I think EB coming in is the key.
I agree. That's definitely a big positive, for them coming in. But dude, another big positive, and
Magic Johnson,
dude,
yeah,
the Magic Johnson factor. I almost forgot that he became, a part owner of the Commanders, just because of all the other nonsense that was going on with the team. But that's nothing. That's not nothing. You know what I mean? I think this actually could be a factor in just the sense of the overall spirit of the team. You want to play for ownership now. Obviously, we've seen what Magic did when he became owner, owner of the Dodgers.
Part owner of the Dodgers.
Yep.
He took that franchise and turned them around.
And go Dodgers. Go Doyers. All right. So obviously,
I know there's something about having someone who just loves sports and maybe just listens to the players
Mm-hmm.
about their needs. That at the end, I was saying that you're getting paid millions of dollars to do this. At the end of the day, though, they are people. They have feelings.
Right.
They go through the same bullshit of family stuff,
Totally.
personal shit, business stuff, and Magic Johnson is that kind of owner who he was there. He did it all.
Right. Right.
He had to go through all the bullshit, so he understands what these players are feeling. So it does make a difference when someone that you can relate to steps in and is kind of leading the situation.
I completely agree. I think it means a lot of good things for this team. For all the reasons that you said, and maybe more that we're just not aware of. But there's a lot to be said about that. It's not a small thing that Magic is stepping in here. We might not see the immediate effects, or the effects immediately, but over the long term for this team, they definitely need to get a quarterback. They definitely need to, show that they're not just a laughable NFL team anymore, that they're not a joke. People should take them seriously. I think this is the year that starts to happen for a lot of reasons. The Eric Bieniemy acquisition, obviously Ron Rivera coming in was a big deal, but they still had to clean house a little bit in some other ways. Dan Snyder getting out of town, a huge deal for this team. He himself was just a circus. So good riddance in a way. He's definitely somebody who should not be in the public light, the public spotlight, in my opinion. But
he was like the old owner of the fucking Clippers, Donald Sterling.
Sterling, yeah.
That piece of shit.
Oof, yeah, man, that guy. But that's neither here nor there. Let's look at Terry McLaurin, because honestly, we don't have to spend too much time talking about him, but
77 receptions, 1,200 yards, 5 tutties. That's the lack of offense that we were talking about when you're punting it.
Yeah, that's with
when you're
the guys that he had, the quarterbacks that he was playing with. So he's used to bad quarterback play, which I'm sorry to say, but he's that good. Scary Terry. They don't call him Scary Terry for no reason. So.
I'm looking at it right there. 4 catches, 77 yards. 3 catches, 74 yards. 6 catches, 70 yards.
Right.
He's there.
His averages are out of this world. He averages, plus 15 yards a game, basically. Every game he's putting up numbers on low, relatively low catch totals. But it's not for lack of targets. He's getting targets too. It's just sometimes it's not always the most accurate passes. But if his volume stays, which I believe it will, they have to use him. He's going to be a part of this offense in a big way. I could see him, like I said, I'm high on him in the early part of the season because of his schedule. If Jacoby Brissett, I don't know why I like calling him Jacoby Brisket, but if Jacoby Brissett is somebody who we can see take basically leapfrog Sam Howell in the depth chart, I like this team a lot more in the beginning of the season because we've seen Jacoby Brissett be serviceable. We've seen him have productive fantasy weapons and options on his team before. When he was with the Indianapolis Colts, we saw him, perform well at least at a decent level. He wasn't a slouch, I guess, is what I'm saying. He definitely had one guy that he could sustain as a fantasy option. So I think he even did that in New England for a half a season or a few games. So I wouldn't be too averse to picking up a guy like Terry McLaurin. Obviously, his risk is baked into his ADP. We know that. We looked at that. But, early part of the season looks good for him. If quarterback play consistently gets better over the season, I could see him being better. But I'm worried about his long-term value. I'm more maybe picking him up, playing him for the first few weeks and trading him high, and seeing if I can get some type of deal done like that.
I think that would be the best option for him.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that I think Curtis Samuel. I like Curtis Samuel. He did a lot of cool things on the Panthers. Last year he was hurt quite a bit, I believe. He wasn't around all that often.
Right.
But you know, yeah, I'm looking at that right there. I mean, he puts up yards.
I mean, yeah.
He does his thing. So again, we're spending a lot of time on the Commanders for a team that needs to really prove themselves this year. Like,
You're
I
right.
feel like this is a team where you can maybe look at one or two players, like again the Giants, and you need to just kind of avoid them like the plague. And maybe you get lucky. You have an open bench spot. You pick up a Jahan Dotson, a Curtis Sammy, something like that. You pick up an Isaiah Hodgins, off the waiver wire, and eventually the team turns around and does something, and you're like, wow. Once a team, all they needed was a season to turn it around. But until that happens, you can't really. Like, I'm looking at it. There's no, like, Logan Thomas, sure.
Well, he was hurt a lot last year.
But for a tight end, sure, you could pick him up, maybe.
Well,
but there's nobody.
The thing is, Logan Thomas was better, I think, a couple years ago when he had a better quarterback throwing to him. I think maybe Fitzpatrick was there at one point. He's most tight ends are this way, but he's super touchdown reliant. If he's not getting touchdowns, he's not going to do much for you. And last year, he literally had one touchdown, and he played, over a dozen games. So I'm probably staying away from Logan Thomas unless he's like a late round flyer you just want to throw on your team because you literally ignored the tight end position. That's totally fine. But as far as being as high on him as I was, I think he's questionable. He missed Friday's practice due to a calf strain, so that was 5 days ago. We'll see if there are any other reports that come out about his health or anything like that. But if that's a thing already, probably wouldn't want to waste a pick on a guy like that anywhere above like round 14 or 15 or something like that. Like what is Logan Thomas's ADP? Like, he's going as tight end 37. Like, he's literally not even on the board in a lot of people's drafts. So I mean, negligible potentially. We'll see. He has the talent. We've seen it in the past. He could come out of nowhere. Tight ends are fickle creatures. They can be off one year and then come back with a vengeance and be like a top 10 guy. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But Logan Thomas is not looking good for him at the moment, personally.
No, not at all.
Yeah. But I think that pretty much wraps it up for the Commanders, and that does it for the NFC East. So, I mean, any other final thoughts on before we wrap this stream up?
I think we've covered the Commanders to death.
Oh boy, they are. I mean, as bad as they're probably going to be, I think there's a lot of storylines here, and there's obviously a lot of talent. There's a lot of guys I like on this team. I wish the best for them. I wish the best for Eric Bieniemy, Riverboat Ron, the whole squad of guys. But man, you're right. For a team that won't do a lot, we're talking about them a lot, and so maybe that's saying something. Who knows? It's interesting team though. Yeah. All right. Well,
they could surprise all of us.
They could. You're right. They could absolutely be. We'll see. But I think it really just comes down to the quarterback. Who's that going to be? If Jacoby Brissett fucking takes a step forward this year, he's like, fuck this. I'm tired of the disrespect. I'm a starting NFL quarterback. Why are you putting me behind Sam Howell? This could be like the biggest moment for Jacoby Brissett in his entire career of he has to outperform Sam Howell. You know what I'm saying? Like, who? But he has to.
Just do it.
Just do it, man. You're gonna do it. If you're gonna do it, now's the time to do it. If not, I don't know if I could be Sam Howell's backup if I'm Jacoby Brissett. But whatever. I guess you're still in the NFL. You know what I mean? So.
Still got the perks of the planes and the hotels and the. I've been to SoFi Stadium. It's nice where the players get to hang out.
Oh yeah, stadiums these days are like fucking works of art,
Yeah, they're nice.
But all right, man. Well, thank you so much, Matt, for joining me again for this wonderful stream of us breaking down these depth charts. We're gonna do more. We're gonna probably do the whole league, so definitely tune in. It'll probably be around 2 or 3 each day. We're still figuring out our times, but hey, man, thanks again for joining, and thank you all for tuning in.
Peace.
Peace.